G'day mates, Ordinary Average Guy here, and today I've got a couple Dylan Mallery design knives here for you from Artisan Cutlery and CJRB. So just before I start, I just want to say, since my last video, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. So I just hope that everybody's safe out there, and just above all else, everybody's safe and healthy, and doing what we need to do to get through this stuff together. So let's get started here. This guy right here is the Archaeo. This is the Centros from CJRB and Artisan Cutlery, like I said. Artisan Cutlery, CJRB, sorry, is like the budget line of Artisan Cutlery. A lot of companies are sort of doing this now. You've got Civivi with We, and like Bird with Spyderco. So CJRB is sort of that budget brand, budget line of Artisan Cutlery knives. Excuse me. It's not the COVID, I promise. So look, I thought I'd just kill two birds with one stone here and check both of these puppies out. So I'm going to start with the Centros. So the Centros is sort of the larger of the two. You can see though, I mean, looking at both of them, you can sort of see the Dylan Mallery, DNA in these things. So they although they look similar, they do have a lot of differences between the two, which we'll get into here in a little bit. I thought this was a really, really attractive knife. I saw pictures of it, and people posting pictures on Instagram, and I just really liked how sleek it was. I really dig these blade shapes. This sort of long drop point. What would you call this? A saber ground drop point right here, and it is a thinner style blade, which isn't the best, say for slicey cuts, especially seeing how thick the blade stock is on this thing. But it's still, it did come razor sharp out of the box. Now, I'd like to start just by saying this puppy right here is a sub $40 knife. I think this one was $37, and you can get, this is the carbon fiber version, obviously, and you can get G10 versions of this as well, which are slightly less expensive than the carbon fiber version. So, first thing though, I dig the action on this thing. It runs on ceramic bearings. And it's actually got a really nice, what would you call this, thumb stud? I can't think right now. It has actually a really nice, comfortable thumb stud. It's not super sharp. It's very easy on the thumb. And that's not true for a lot of thumb studs out there. Anybody that's owned like a Chris Reeve knife, not all thumb studs are made equally. Now, when you get used to these things, they're great, but it does take a while to get that little callus on your thumb to where you can operate those as efficiently as other thumb studs. But this does have a very comfortable thumb stud, which makes for a really nice experience when flipping this thing. It flicks really well. The action on it is superb. The detent's not too strong. It's dialed in really well. It's strong enough for it to have great action, but not too strong to where it's a pain in the ass to open up. And like I said, sub $40 knife, blade centering on it is actually really, really good. Now, they did cut some corners on this, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but let's just go over this real quick. So like I said, it's a drop point sort of saber ground, saber flat grind on the blade. Sort of this long drop point, very pointy tip to it. It's D2 steel, very controversial. I think it's the best of the budget steels, though. That's not an exclusive take on that. I think a lot of people feel the same way, especially when you can compare it to some maybe, I don't know, C8CR13 MOV or 420HC. D2 is definitely a step up from that. I've chipped D2. Sorry, I've damaged D2 before, and it tends not to chip. It tends to bend. So, and it's very easy to fix. Fix an issue if you say you drop the knife and you damage the sharpened edge. It's very easy to fix. D2 is very easy to fix. It's very easy to sharpen, but still has pretty good edge retention. Now, it doesn't have the greatest corrosion resistance. It is a tool steel, but bang for your buck. I think it's really a great budget steel, and you're starting to see a lot of it. Obviously, if you're involved in the knife world whatsoever, if you purchase knives, you see a lot of D2, and there's a good reason for that. It's a good step up from, like I said, the 8CR13 MOVs of the world, and it still creates a sort of a very a very pleasurable experience when it comes to sharpening and edge retention. So I do like D2. It does run on bearings, like I said, ceramic bearings, and it does have these what is this, carbon fiber scales. Um, and like I said, you can get the G10 versions for a little bit cheaper. And to be honest with you, this is sort of very underwhelming carbon fiber on it. It does have full stainless steel liners, and it's not a small knife either. I mean, this is a big knife. I think it said it was 3.5 inches on the website I bought it from, but let's just look at it this way so I can get you a better measurement. But it's every bit of 3.75 inches long, the blade. I mean, there we are right there. Right there, 3.75 inches, and that's pretty much 3.75 inch of cutting surface. So it's a big knife. It's a big blade. Overall, when it's open, it comes right at about 8.5 inches, which to me is a large knife. Now, this right here is what I consider a huge knife. This is my, oh shit, the zombies are coming, let's get out of town. This is the knife I'm taking with me, the ZT0562. And you can see the CJRB is every bit the length of the 0562, actually a little bit longer. It doesn't quite have the girth, but it's a big bulky knife. Sorry, it's a big knife, I should say. It does carry very well in pocket because of that slim Dylan Mallery design. But it's a big knife, and it does, it's 4 ounces, so you know, not terrible. I mean, when you consider this one's 5.6, it's not a tiny knife by any means, but it's definitely got all the length that you would want in a knife, and it feels really good in hand as well because of the design of this handle here. It's sort of got this sort of grip to it, with this where it gets thinner right here and gets fatter out towards the end. Not only does it look really nice aesthetically, but it creates like a grip or a position for your hand to go in. Although it's not a neutral handle, it's not super forcing your hand into one place. What the thing I like about it though is this little choil, this ramp right here. It does create a good spot for your finger to land. With this jimping on top, it does create a very nice grip. It doesn't feel like it's going to come sliding out of your hands. Even with this really underwhelming CF, that's sort of my biggest gripe with this knife. It does have this deep carry pocket clip and a very nice open design on the back. Some standoffs on it. Does have a little lanyard thingy there for it. So if you're into lanyards, you can put one on this puppy. Reversible pocket clip for us lefties. And yeah, there you go. So look, for me, the nicest thing about this knife is its action. It's a pleasure to open up. I do love the design on it. I think it's a great sleek looking design. You get a lot of knife for not a lot of pocket real estate on this thing when it's excuse me. When it's folded up, it has this nice, sleek profile, and it does carry really well in pocket. Now, look, great blade centering on it too, like I said. Now, look, sub $40 knife, but I'm going to start picking some stuff here. First of all, it's running on ceramic bearings, but the ceramic bearings are caged. I don't know if we can get a look at it. Sorry, the lighting's crap in here. Everybody's home, so I have to do this in my bedroom. I don't know if I can, but anyway, so they are ceramic bearings, but they're caged in a nylon washer. So although it does have great action, you can sort of feel when you're opening and closing it that the nylon, the ceramic bearings running against the nylon. It's not quite as smooth as so this knife right here, this is the Mini Natrix, and it runs on ceramic bearings caged in phosphor bronze, I think it is, and it just has a different feel to it when you're opening and closing it. Now, like I said, sub $40 knife, is that you gotta expect them to cut some corners somewhere. Although I don't know, I know this is a budget knife and they're using phosphor bronze caged bearings, so it's just something that knife guys are going to be buying these knives. They're not knives that you're going to be seeing at a Walmart or a Cabela's or something. So generally speaking, it's going to be knife guys purchasing these knives. And I just would like to have seen them use just take that extra step, spend the extra little bit of money on the phosphor bronze washes, and it would have just made this a little bit more premium. Um, and the pocket clip on this is, look, it's a deep carry clip, but if you can check that, do you see that? Do you see what my problem is with this deep carry clip? Recess your bloody pocket screws on a deep carry clip, or at least make it so they're out of the way. You can see here on this guy right here, you've got plenty of room here in this loop. This is just, it has zero. So if you're wearing a pair of Carhartts or something with a thick pocket lip, this is just, you've got to really push this down over the top of it. And it doesn't make sense because if you look here on the Artisan Cutlery Archaeo, you can see it has a very nice clearance right there on the loop, even though they're not recessed. This still, to me, it just was a really poor design. They need to either make this loop bigger or just use smaller screws. This thing's a bloody massive, because this, honestly, there's just a little tiny area right there for you to fit it over the lip of your pants. I mean, if you're wearing a pair of slacks or something, you're not going to have much of an issue, but you're not going to. I don't carry 8.5-inch knives with me when I'm wearing a pair of slacks, so there is that. Um, so, like I touched on before, guys, the CF on this is just very, very underwhelming. If I was to give you a piece of advice, if you do like this knife, and I think it's a really nice knife for the price. I mean, you can get the G10 version for, I think, 36, 35, or $36. And for that price, it's a great, great knife. And just for me, if I'm going to give you a piece of advice, if you do want this, to stay away from this carbon fiber version. It has zero grip to it whatsoever. It just feels very plasticky. It does have, I mean, it has a very underwhelming sort of shiny. I just avoid it. Just avoid carbon fiber on a sub $40 knife. That was my mistake. I should have just got the G10 version to review. And the G10 version is grippier as well, which is nice, because if you did want to use it as your, oh shit, the zombies are coming, zombie apocalypse knife, I think this would be great for murking zombies. I mean, you can hold it like this, and your finger's got this nice spot for it to go. You can put your thumb on top here, and that really nice pointy blade right here would go no problem into the side of a zombie's temple. Now, once you start getting zombie guts and stuff all over this carbon fiber version, I mean, it's going to get slick as hell. Zombie brains and blood. It's just, your hand's going to just slide all over the place. So if you are going to use this as your zombie apocalypse knife, definitely get the G10 version. I think in general, just get the G10 version. They have a really cool looking blue G10 that they put on it. It's not like a really bright, vibrant blue like this thing. It's like sort of a lighter baby type blue. Not a baby blue, but sort of in between the two. And it looks really cool. I've seen pictures of it. It looks great. So there you go. I just, for me, it's, for the price, it's a fantastic little knife. And I don't say it's a fantastic big knife, but I mean, just a couple little things that just drove me nuts right there. Carbon fiber, very underwhelming. And, use some phosphor bronze caging on your bearings, guys. To me, knife guys are going to notice that kind of thing right away. So there you go. So the next knife I'm going to look at right here is the Archaeo. Like I said, it's a Dylan Mallery design as well. You can see right there, designed by Dylan Mallery. Also a D2 blade. Now, this one's got a little bit of a different shape to it. Although they do look very similar. Let me show you. You can see the Archaeo has a bit more of a Warncliffe style blade. I wouldn't exactly call that a Warncliffe, but doesn't have as much belly as the Centros. So it's a different blade style. Although you can see it's got the same sort of DNA between the two knives. D2 blade, like I said, it's got a flat grind as well. This sort of saber grind right here. It is a flipper. This is the G10 version. Now this guy comes in, I don't know how many different varieties, a lot. They just released a copper version as well, so you can get that. This is the budget line, the D2 version. It's sub $70 knife. Actually, I think this is sub $60 knife. I think it's around $57 for this guy right here with the textured G10. You can also get this it's like a gray and black layered G10. It actually looks really cool. So when they do this sort of rounding right here, this texturing, you get this wood grainy sort of look to it. which is like the gray and the black, and it actually looks really, really cool. They also have a flat G10 that's also got a reversible pocket clip. All the budget D2 styles have reversible pocket clips. And then they do make a more premium version. So it's like a titanium with M390 blade. They also have like a VG10 Damascus type of deal. And they have titanium handles with usually some kind of carbon fiber insert in them, and a milled titanium pocket clip, which is not reversible, which is why I didn't buy it. So there you go. Guys, make some lefties, or just make it so I can flip that little clip around. All right, please. I'll buy them. I think we all will as lefties. But yeah, I mean, look, I really do like this guy right here. I love the look of it. I think the design really called really called to me on this one. I love how when it's closed, you can sort of see how the blade fits perfectly down into this little cutout right here of the on the handle, which provides sort of the same grip as the Centros. Now, obviously, this is a little smaller. Oh, and I forgot to say, this one is available in like a much bigger version, like a 3.8-inch blade. This guy's a 3-inch blade. What do we got overall? It's a 3-inch blade, and it comes right in about 7 inches total. Let me compare it to a very popular knife right here. This is the Bug Out. As you can see, it's actually smaller than the Bug Out. You know what I have here? This might be a little bit better to compare to a mini Bug Out. So let's check it out next to the mini. So as you can see, it's right in between the mini Bug Out and the full size Bug Out. Sort of right in that size range. Although it is smaller on this dimension. Now it does have full stainless steel liners, which the Bug Outs do not. But as you can see, the liners go all the way down into the bottom of the handle here. This guy is a little heavier too, but not terrible. I mean, let's see. 2.2 ounces, and that's very light. What I meant to say, it's heavier than the Bug Out. The Bug Outs comes in at about 1.8 for the large, so it is, it's more of a knife for less weight. But because of this profile of this knife, it just disappears into the pocket. Now, it does have what does Nick Shabazz call this? The pocket pecker. It does have a little bit of a pocket pecker right there, but it's such a thin profile on this knife. When it's in your pocket, you forget it's there. They did, like I said before with the Centros, they did a much better job on this pocket clip, and you only really see this much of the knife sticking up. But it really is a pleasure to carry. It does have this sort of Spidey hole here, which I suppose you can use for Spidey flick. It's not the greatest though. I really would have loved to see a thumb stud version of this knife without the flipper tab. I think that would have been spectacular on this guy right here. Especially seeing as this Spidey hole sort of so underwhelming. It's hard to flip open with your thumb. But besides that, it does flip pretty well. It's not the greatest flipper in the world, but it's a sub $60 knife. It flips good enough. I do like the collar, the pivot collar, right there. That sort of orange accent, and what they did with the Artisan Cutlery logo right there in the other side of the pivot. I think that looks really good. But yeah, overall, it's just a very sleek, very attractive looking knife, and it feels really good in hand for how tiny it is. For how small this handle is, it feels really good in your hand. So, there's that as well. And especially with this little flipper tab here, it doesn't feel like your hand's going to come up onto that blade. The jimping on this is not as good as the Centros is. The Centros actually has really good jimping on the top of the blade right there. This is a little less aggressive of a jimping, I should say, but I get it. You don't need as much jimping. You're not going to be doing as aggressive as an activity with this knife as you would with the Centros. It's just a little bit more of a delicate knife. Both of them have really good lockups, and they have zero blade play in them, both of them, which is really nice on a budget line. You can see the lockup there on it's really good, about 50%. No stick at all on it either. Blade centering on this puppy is pretty good. Pretty good. Not as good as the Centros, but it's really hard when you start getting into these smaller G10 sort of knives, especially with how small this pivot section is. It's really hard with like a liner or frame lock to get really good centering on the knife. Now, it's something that can be achieved. This isn't terrible. Like I said, it's a little bit off. It's a little bit off. Is that going to destroy the way I feel about this knife? No, especially for the price. But it is something to think about. I really do dig the blade shape as well. I really like this sort of Warncliffe style blade. This works really well for cutting open packages. Just a variety of different cuts you can do with it. It is like with the Centros. It's shorter in this dimension. It's not going to be a great knife for processing food or anything like that, but for opening packages, opening boxes, whatever you need to do with it, it's great for sort of light duty cutting. Um, and like I said, it's definitely a gentleman's carry. You can carry this in a pair of slacks, no problem. It would just disappear right into your pocket. Just a nice little gentleman's knife overall. Do love like I said, the sleekness of the design, especially when it's closed. And when it's open, I think it looks fantastic as well. So there you go. Now, a couple gripes I have with this. Like I said, the sort of the handle on it's really. I would have loved to seen this in a thumb stud version. And the detent on it's not great, so the flipper action is not fantastic. It just and especially with where you got to put your fingers on the knife to be able to hold it, to flip it. I just it's very underwhelming as a flipper. I would have loved to have seen it with some thumb studs. I do like the vast, obviously they did a much better job on the deep carry clip. But like with the Centros, this is also running on bearings caged in nylon. So there's that to think about as well. Um, and one more gripe I have with this. So like I said, it comes in a bigger version, a 3.86-inch version, which is much bigger. And they make it in several different styles, but one of them being just the exact same as this, but obviously larger. And in those models, they put a little stainless steel insert into the side that you don't have your pocket clip, to the off side from the pocket clip. Now, I don't know why they didn't do it on these smaller versions. It makes the knife look so much better. I don't know why you would do it on the bigger ones and think it wouldn't be necessary to do on the smaller ones, but it's just sort of this big unattractive hole, and it's really sort of off center. And obviously, I don't know if they had to do it that way, but just put that little stainless steel insert in. I mean, it's not that much less expensive than the large version for you to be like, well, it's that much less expensive, therefore we're not putting the extra bit of steel in it. So for me, it would have just really cleaned up the look of this knife. I'm not complaining that you guys made it ambidextrous. That's fantastic. Thank you. But for the textured G10, you really need that little stainless steel insert in there. Otherwise, it just sort of looks silly, in my opinion. So that's really my biggest gripe with this thing. Other than that, guys, go check out Dylan Mallery on the Insta, man. He's a really nice, approachable guy. He has some really, really cool new designs coming out. To be honest with you, I have no idea how long he's been doing this, but I've been deep into the knife world for at least, I don't know, the last 8 years, and these are the first Dylan Mallery designs I've actually gotten. And I don't know much about him. I've asked him questions on Instagram before, and he's very, very nice, very, very approachable, like most knife makers are. But I like what he's doing. He always posts his new designs online. He has some really, really cool new Warncliffe style blades coming out from, I think it's Artisan Cutlery. It's either Artisan or CJRB. Either way, it's the same thing, right? But just go check him out. He's making some really cool stuff. And I like these knives. They're different. They're a different design. They're really well thought through. And they're very good looking knives, which I like a lot. So you know what, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you're gonna ask my opinion on which one to get, like I said, if you want just a big burly knife, which this one is, if you're not using it to process food or anything, which this could probably do. But if you just want something that's just a bigger, heavy duty knife, I think this thing will be great for you. If you're looking for like a smaller knife that's a little sleeker, that's sort of more of a gentleman's carry, I would definitely go with this guy. Or even if you've got bigger paws, the 2.86 version, because it's still got the liner locks that aren't that full chunky stainless steel. They're much thinner liners, and they're only a little bit heavier than these, and I think they would work really well if you've got bigger hands or you're a bigger guy. I think that you would have a very similar experience to this. So, if you need something, for an office carry, something that's not, going to freak people out, which this isn't. I mean, it's a flipper and it's got sort of a stabby blade, but it's such a small, sleek looking knife, and you can open it thumb nick style. I think you can definitely get away with carrying this in the office. Well, like I said, guys, thank you so much for watching. So check this out. Check it out, man. I have got a giveaway that I'm doing. So I was going to wait till I got 1,000 followers on Instagram and 500 followers on, or 500 subscribers on the YouTube. But seeing as the world's going to shit, I thought I'd put a smile on everybody's face and do a giveaway. Now, this giveaway is going to be awesome. It's going to be massive. And I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to post some pictures and do it next week. But you got to follow me on Instagram to find it. Here's my Instagram. I'll put it right here. Go check out my Instagram. I'm always posting pictures of knives. That's pretty much all I post pictures of. So go over there, check it out, and I promise you, this giveaway is going to be awesome. I have a ton of people, a ton of really cool people in the knife world that have donated to my giveaway, and it's going to be massive. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate every single one of you, and I hope every single one of you is healthy and safe, and I hope that we can get this in the past and get back to work as soon as possible. I know I'm dying to. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy.